Hey guys, CryptoDad here again, and thanks for joining me for the live stream, a live Q&A in LA every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. All right, so let me see if there's anybody in. Oh, Gamerboy69, hello, nice to see you. Glad you could join me. I'm going to talk a little bit about the news. A lot of good news actually lately, but it's been kind of a crazy week. Cryptos took a bit of a dive a few days back. So let's kind of get into it and what happened. Shahid, welcome. Firas, hello. Grand Illusion, hello. From Idaho. From LA to Idaho. I think I'm wearing the same shirt I had on last week. I must be like Matlock, you know, always have the same clothes on. Anyway, let's dive into the news. Okay, here we go. Let's start with this guy. Bitcoin is the mother of all scams and blockchain is the most hype tech ever, Roubini tells Congress. As I mentioned, it looks in the title, there's a lot of Bitcoin bashing going on lately. Seems like it's still in fashion, even though, you know, they're still using the same old tired arguments that they've been using since it came out. You know, putting a lot of facts together to try and discredit Bitcoin, you know, but they basically always boils down to it has no intrinsic value and it's only used by criminals. I mean, if I hear that argument, and again, it just blows my mind how they just keep saying the same thing over and over again, although it's never really been proven. So anyway, he testified in front of Congress. So, you know, of course he convinced all these old men and their old money that, you know, Bitcoin is a, you know, fly-by-night scam, scheme, Ponzi scheme, whatever you want to call it. You know, this guy testified in front of Congress, and of course the story was in here. And for the last few days after that, he's been defending himself on social media. And now it's basically just turned into a mudslinging match. I mean, this guy as far as I can see, you know, he's, I'm not going to say he's crazy or anything. I'm just saying that, you know, he's obviously distressed now and upset and mad and, you know, and is really, you know, just saying the worst things that he could possibly say about crypto and starting arguments on Twitter. And I mean, they've just gone on. Now he's calling crypto people anti-Semitic because now they got into the whole, you know, Jewish thing, you know, which is, I mean, Jews and Christians and Muslims should all live in peace together. And I don't think that the argument over cryptocurrency has anything to do with being anti-Semitic or non-anti-Semitic. And I think I don't have. He's pretty prolific on Twitter. I'll give the guy some credit there. I don't have the time to spend on Twitter all day long. I wanted to get to some of his more nasty arguments. Worthless, all other shit coins, not a currency. I've heard that one before. Not a currency. In fact, wonderful viewers, I believe it's one of the best currencies out there. Of course, I'm biased, but we can talk about what a currency is and what a currency should be. And, you know, basically we're just talking about its utilitarian value. You know, can you use it to exchange value? Is it portable? Is it fungible? Is it a store of value? I mean, those sort of things, you know, can all be argued back and forth. But as far as ease of use and utilitarian, you know, the reason why we invented money in the first place is so we wouldn't have to carry pigs and goats and cows around so we could trade them for the things we needed, right? We needed to get away from barter, so we invented money, and we used coins, we used gold, we used paper, and you know, money to be effective needs to be portable and needs to be easy to use. And Bitcoin, you know, I can't think of anything more portable than Bitcoin. It's digital, it has no weight. I can send Bitcoin across the room or across the world with the same click of a mouse. Anyway, I won't go too much into this, but I just thought it was interesting. And a couple of days before that, there was another article that I read, and it was in my Google feed. Strong possibility Bitcoin bubble could burst in the near future, report claims. And, you know, this article is saying that any day now, you know, cryptocurrencies are going to die and go to zero. And, you know, the same old tired arguments. One of the arguments that they're using is, you know, its market decline over this year, which is true. The market has declined. But if you look at the entire history of Bitcoin, you'll see that it's had many run-ups and many bear markets. So, and it's been around for 10 years. Going up and down over time. So to say that it's going to implode now because the market's down isn't a very valid argument in my mind. Hostile environment, I guess I can agree with that. You know, the powers that be don't really care for Bitcoin trying to take over what the banks are into. Anyway, what's really interesting about this, thank you, Savan, by the way. I'm sorry I'm on a roll here. The really funny part about this article are the comments. And if, you know, I always read the comments when I read articles, whether they're news articles or whatever. And I can always tell a website, to me, that's worth its salt if they enable comments. Some of the big news sites now have disabled comments. So like Reuters, Forbes, all of these types, these big names, if you read an article on their website, there's no way to comment because they don't want anybody commenting, right? So this particular article, although this article itself is not the report, it's just a report on the report, but the comments are criticizing the report, talking about, and they're all negative about the article. The facts are wrong. It's just reporting one study. Laughable rubbish. I wonder which banks pay for this group's wages. LOL. LOL. These articles crack me up. You guys are really running out of things to FUD. You know, it's pretty funny to read the comments, you know. I am sick and tired of the statement I hear all over the place. Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. Like any asset, it is worth whatever someone is prepared to pay for it. It's as annoying as hell. And I will add to that gold has no intrinsic value. It only has value because we all agree it has value. You can't eat gold. You can't wear gold. You can't build your house out of gold. It's not practical. So it really has no value. And some people, they'll argue that there are some industrial type uses of gold, but that's a pretty weak argument. Gold is valuable because we all think it's valuable. Anyway, Bitcoin is... I'm sorry, guys. Let me talk about some of the good news, and then I'll get to questions. Let's see here. We did that one. I thought I had pulled up some other articles. Huh. I don't know what I did with them. Okay, so I must have lost those tabs. Oh, here we are. Coinbase launches first ERC20 token on their platform, 0x, which is, you know, it's a zero. I'm sorry, it's an ERC20 token. If you don't know what that is, it's just a sub token on the Ethereum blockchain, and there's a lot of them out there. A lot of big coins are ERC20 tokens, or, you know, started off as ERC20 tokens. So for Coinbase to actually list this, pretty big news. And let's see, maybe yeah, there we go. I must have. Tron is about to announce a new partnership with an industry giant. There's a lot of exciting things happening with Tron, which was 13 last week, and I believe it's up to number 10. It's 11. Okay, so we got Tron, and there's a lot of exciting news about Stellar. There's a lot of I don't know. There's some news about Cardano, not really breathtakingly exciting. But Stellar has made big deals with IBM. So there's a lot of exciting, new, wonderful things happening in the cryptocurrency sphere. You know, if you can ignore all these naysayers. There was one other thing. There's a story about the Winklevoss twins, which I can't find right now. Oh, here we go. The Winklevoss twins have added Litecoin to their Gemini exchange, which is pretty cool. Their exchange is very tries to be very regulatory compliant. So I think there's a lot of good adoption news going on. All right, so let's see. Anybody? OMG, Senpai noticed me. I have a dad. He's nice. Rudy LaPlane, nice to be here. Nice to see you. Parlay. Hi, Dad. Dale. Parlay. Rudy. Grand Illusion. Scott Lee again. Thank you, Scott. Always good to have you. Always commenting whenever I post a video. It's very consistent of you. I really appreciate it. Not fooling me. He's buying. Yeah. I mean, that guy Roubini. I was just thinking about that today. You know, if I said to him, if I had 10 bitcoins and I was willing to offer them to you, you would take them, wouldn't he? He probably would. I mean, what was he gonna on principle, I'm not gonna take them. They're worthless shit coins. I'm like, yeah, but 10 bitcoins are worth like 60 grand. So you mean to say if I offer you 10 bitcoins, you're gonna turn them down? I mean, the least you could do is take them and then turn around and sell them for fiat. But that in itself would prove that you realize that Bitcoin does have value, right? There's a market price for Bitcoin. Anyway, okay, let's see. Svan Ringo. How to plus account on Nano if Crypt's on app but not on account? Ah, okay. All right, a fair question. A fair question indeed. Not every app or every cryptocurrency on the Nano is supported in their accounts. So let me show you what that is. And specifically, I may not be able to answer your question. I might on the fly. We'll see about Nano, but I'll try. But I'm going to give you some examples of how this all works. All right, so I have my little Nano Ledger Nano S here. Let me put in my PIN. And I'm not sure, I have to say I'm a little perturbed that I have to keep shuffling apps on this thing. And right now I've got Ethereum and Bitcoin on here. And it seems like those are the only two that fit, which is really starting to bug me. I don't know if it's like I'm putting them on the wrong order. But c'est la vie. I won't bitch and moan too much. All right, so if we have the Ethereum app on here, right? And we go into the Ethereum app, we can view our balance by adding an Ethereum account. So you've got the app on the Nano that lives on the Nano, and then you have the account, right? The Ethereum account. And as you can see, I have an Ethereum account down here. And I can pull up this account in Ledger Live, and I can send and receive crypto. I can view my balance. I can view my transaction history. I can do all that. That's a coin that's fully supported on the Ledger Nano S, both as an app and in their accounts section. All right, and there are several coins like that. But there are also coins that you can put the app on the Ledger Nano, but you can't use the account viewer to send and receive and view your balance. All right, so I'm going to take Ethereum off because it takes up too much room. And then I'm going to put Stellar on. Now you'll notice here Stellar is an app that I can add to my Ledger Nano S. You watch there, see? And then it will appear. All right. And if I go into Stellar, is that it? Yeah. With both fingers. And then I say, okay, now I have the Stellar app. Let me add the account. It's not there. Right? There's no Stellar app. So what do we do? How do we view our balance? Well, some of these are, you have to do a little bit of digging and some research on how they're supported on the Ledger. In the case of Stellar, you go to the Stellar website. Let's get rid of all these. We go over to the Stellar website. And then we go over to wallets. And then you'll notice in their list of wallets, there's one here that says Ledger, right? And when we click on that, it's a web-based account viewer. I can just click this button, and then it says sign in with Ledger. Now I entered the Ledger app, and I entered, I put in my PIN, and I entered the Stellar app, and now I have access to my Stellar through this device and this wallet. So what's happening here is that the private keys are stored on the Ledger. That's it. The private keys are stored on the Ledger for every cryptocurrency that it supports. But just because they have figured out how to store the private keys doesn't mean that they've developed an app that you can use to view your balance. So I need to use the Stellar account viewer. And there's another one, Tron, same thing. I have to go over here and add Tron. Hopefully Tron will fit on here. I think it does. I think Tron, Stellar, and Bitcoin will all fit on here. They've rearranged the apps now by market cap. So the higher the market cap, the higher it is on the list of apps here. So if we install Tron, we'll notice that it does not have an app in Ledger Live either. So we have to figure out how to access our Tron. In Tron's case, we need to go to, I have downloaded, pardon me, I've downloaded it. It's an app. Whoops. Sorry. Like that. Gotta open up this other drive over here. And let's go to, where are we here? Oh, sorry. There is a thing called TronScan Desktop. And I can launch TronScan Desktop. And when I go to Wallet, let me sign out. It tends to remember that you've been signed in before. I need to get into the Tron app. And then I go to Open Wallet, Open Wallet again, and then I choose Ledger. And then when I do that, it senses the private keys on here and allows me to open my Tron-based wallet and view my balance. And then from this wallet, I can send and receive Tron. And the Ledger is protecting the private key. So if I try to send Tron out, it's going to ask me to verify on the device. Now, so that's the story. That's why not every cryptocurrency allows you to view, send, and receive in the Ledger Live app. But the question was, Svan asked, how about Nano? Okay, so do a little detective work, right? Nano on the Ledger. There is usually an article by Ledger right here. And Ledger will give you a step-by-step on how you deal with that particular cryptocurrency. I'm going to paste that article in here for you. I unfortunately do not have Nano on my Ledger, and I don't own any Nano, so I've never actually done this, right? So they take you through installing the app, right? And then they tell you to check the Nano Vault user guide for step-by-step instructions. So we can kind of check that one out. And Nano Vault gives you instructions on how to use your Ledger device with Nano Vault, which I'm assuming is their go-to storage type. All right. And they start you over, right? You install the app, and once you got the app on, you go to the Nano Vault homepage. You, I guess, you download their software, and then you connect, and then you'll get a wallet. And then different wallets, some wallets need to have a balance to function properly. Most of the time, you know, they'll create an empty wallet for you. And once you've got that up and running, you will just transfer some tokens from wherever you have your Nano right now, Nano on the Nano, right? You might have bought some on Bitcoin. I'm sorry, you might have bought some on Bitfinex or Binance or Bittrex or any number of cryptocurrency exchanges that support Nano. And then from there, you know, you would go to your wallet, get your receiving address, go over to your cryptocurrency exchange and choose withdraw and put in that address. So let's go over to one of my favorites, Bittrex. Let's see here. Whoops. Bittrex. I have my Google Authenticator up here. All right. So I don't know if they support Nano. Let's find out. Huh. I guess not. Is that the right ticker? Did I do that right? Let's try this. Right, Nano. Okay. So maybe it's Bittrex. I'm sorry, Binance. Crypto exchanges. Binance. Holy moly. What's going on with their website? Oh my God. All right. That just fills you with confidence, doesn't it? A lot of websites don't particularly care for Brave. It's going to take me through that. All right. All right, so let's see. Whoops. Sorry. Let's see if they do. There it is. Okay. So, you know, you basically go over, if you have bought some Nano, you just do a withdrawal, and you'll take that Nano address that you generated with your wallet. Right? Where were we here? right? Once you've got your Nano vault set up, you've got your ledger plugged in, you'll generate a I don't know where it is here. You'll generate a new receiving address. You'll take it over to your cryptocurrency exchange. You'll paste it in here, whatever it is. It won't be that, right? And then you'll tell it the amount and submit, and it should end up in your wallet, right? So that would be the way to go with Nano. You meant Ledger Nano. Okay. Right. It's Crypt on Nano. If Crypt's on app. Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about the coin Nano. Okay. So in general, we talked like 3 different coins where they didn't have support in the accounts area, but you were still able to use it. Yes, Crypto Chris, thank you, and welcome. Just I have these little arguments in my head, but just think of all of the things that have changed. I'm assuming that everyone here is probably at least a teenager or in their 20s. I'm in my 50s, and if you just stop and think about all the technology that has changed our lives, even since I was a young adult. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have smartphones. I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't even have an answering machine on our telephone at home. That was a thing. That was a new thing that came out when I was growing up. Answering machines, right? So all this technology that has changed our lives so dramatically, and the internet and social media and online retail, all of these things have changed our lives so dramatically. And now that we've got this new technology, this blockchain technology, and it's based on cryptography. Cryptography has been around for thousands of years. Caesar, the Caesar cipher, that's the first thing they teach you in a cryptography class, is the Caesar cipher, which is just a way that Julius Caesar sent orders to his troops in code. He would just shift the alphabet over one. But since the dawn of the computer age, cryptography has grown by leaps and bounds, and they're doing mathematical calculations that would be impossible for a human being. They're doing mathematical transformations and calculations that would take in order to crack these algorithms, brute force crack, it would take the most modern computers that we have now on the order of thousands of years. I mean, that's mind-boggling when you think about how intricate and secure modern cryptography is. And that's what blockchain and Bitcoin are based on, is modern cryptography, hashing algorithms. I mean, this stuff is really difficult to wrap your head around, but this is revolutionary, right? Now, the implementation may not be perfect. There may be some drawbacks and some mistakes along the way, but we're definitely on the dawn of a new technology, that in our lifetime, that, I mean, they haven't thought of a new, money has evolved to a certain extent since we've been around. Things have changed. The money is much more digital now than it was. You can pay with your phone, that sort of thing. But that's all well and good, and a lot of people say, well, that's all we need. But the problem is that it's all centralized, and that whenever we do any of this digital magic, there's somebody in the middle taking their cut, and we're all not suffering, but we're all the word is, we're all suffering because of it. We're all being impinged upon. We're losing what we could keep because we're having to pay these middlemen, the bankers, the credit card companies, the processing firms. And Bitcoin is a decentralized way around that. It is a better way to exchange value. So that's my spiel. Two plastic cups with a string. Rudy's first computer had a 300 baud Atom from Colavision. I remember my first modem was, I think, a 1440 or whatever it was, and then they came out with the 28,000 or 2800, and then I think the peak of the modem technology was 57,000 baud modems, and you were going over a phone line, and your computer wasn't always connected to the internet. You would turn it on and you would do whatever you did on your computer before the internet. And then if you wanted to connect online, you would have to like dial in, right? You'd hit this thing and you'd connect, and you'd hear your phone dialing. And that seems like there's people watching this stream, I'm sure, that never had a modem on their computer. They always just sat down, and the assumption is you sit down at a computer, it's connected to the internet. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, it's pointless without the internet. Index cards. CompuServe. Yes, actually, I think I had an account on CompuServe. One of the first online forums where you could connect with other people. Yes, I do remember CompuServe. It was the big thing. I think AOL knocked him out of the driver's seat, really. And AOL was big for a while, and then AOL became a dinosaur. And, the first big browser was Netscape, and then it became a dinosaur. Got defeated by Microsoft. But it still lives. Netscape still lives in Firefox and the Brave browser, because the same code-based technology evolved from Netscape. All of that. Netscape was the beginning of all of that. Cryptos are a scam. That's the funniest one. I mean, I get when people say, oh, it has no value, it's used by criminals, but when they say it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, I mean, seriously, come on. Like, it's been around for 10 years, and, it's got, like, intelligent people working on the code base, university level smart guys, and and you want to try and claim that it's a scam? I mean, come on. That's the most elaborate scam I've ever heard of. And we had to swap out our disks. That's correct. You booted your computer had a floppy disk, and if you were lucky, it had 2 floppy disk drives, right? So you could boot the computer from one floppy, and then the other drive was your whatever your application or your game was, right? No, it really wasn't that long ago. 1987, I think, is when I got my first computer. 386 SX, 8 gigahertz, no, 8 megahertz, or 16 megahertz processor. Yeah. And a 45 megabyte hard drive, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. How to earn BTC without investment. Okay. Mining safe to earn Bitcoin. Good mining site to earn Bitcoin. We talked a little bit about mining. I mine a little bit, and I did mine Bitcoin back in the day. I don't think that it's practical for a casual user to mine Bitcoin at this point. It's the algorithm has progressed to the point where the processing power required to mine Bitcoin is beyond what a casual user can afford. The easiest way, if you want to mine Bitcoin, the most practical way to mine Bitcoin is to go out and buy yourself a really nice Bitcoin miner. And even if you get the best Bitcoin miner you can afford, let's say, okay, I want to get the great new, I don't know, some of these. I thought they had more expensive ones. Huh. Let me try that again. Ah, here we go. That's the new one, right? Wow. Really nice. But it doesn't tell me how much. Oh, buy now. How much is it? Tell me how much it is. What was that? S9, right? They've rearranged their page a little bit. Anyway, it was more. So you've got this. You're going to spend at least $1,100, $2,000 to get a decent home miner, right? And then if you, this is mining Bitcoin. And then even that is not enough to solo mine. You're wasting your time and money solo mining. You'll probably have a very low chance of finding a block as a solo miner. So you'll have to join a mining pool, and you know, they split rewards. So that's really the only. And then look, you've already thrown down $1,100 or $2,000, and so you're going to be mining for at least a few months or a year before you even break even. And then you got to think about your electricity bill. You got to think about the noise. It's irritating, and you got to keep it cool. So it's not a really practical thing. And all these websites that tell you you're going to get rich mining Bitcoin are usually scams, right? They're asking you to like throw down a bunch of money to reserve some sort of, I don't know, cloud-based account or whatever. They're trying to fool you into thinking that if you give them your hard-earned money, that you're gonna like get money back. I've heard good and bad. Some people say they're not scams. Some of them say they're all scams. So, but if you just want to earn Bitcoin without buying it, I think I talked a little bit about. You could ask people. You used to be able to ask people. I used to get a lot of comments where they would just beg me for Bitcoin. They just give me their Bitcoin address. Please send me Bitcoin. You can ask people. There are like Bitcoin faucets, but they're really more trouble than they're worth. I mean, there's just really no free lunch, right? I mentioned that I earned some Bitcoin from Ledger. Because I have a link. I have a where is it? I don't know where it is. Here, buy a Ledger, right? So I have an affiliate link because I have several videos about the Ledger. So I have a Ledger affiliate link. And if someone clicks that link and buys a Ledger, it goes directly to them. I would never, like, you know, encourage someone to use some kind of third party. I mean, it takes you straight to the Ledger homepage. And if you buy a Ledger directly from Ledger, they give me, they pay me a little bit of a commission for that because and then that they pay me in Bitcoin. So that's one way of earning Bitcoin without actually investing in Bitcoin. But as you can see, I invested in my YouTube channel. I invested time and energy in doing these videos on how to make, use the Ledger Nano, and that's why people follow the link. So it's not. Who knows? Maybe in 5 or 10 years you can get a job and they'll ask you, do you want to get paid in Bitcoin, Litecoin, dollars, or yuan, or, you can choose. But if you can find a way, if someone owes you money, you can ask them to pay you in Bitcoin, right? It's not that difficult. Someone can just go out to bitcoin.com and download the phone wallet. So, you can just say, hey, download this wallet, buy yourself a little Bitcoin and send it to me. I don't accept dollars. I mean, if you really want Bitcoin. And then, you know, there are other cryptocurrencies that are still mineable, like Vertcoin. You can still mine Vertcoin pretty easily with a graphics card and profitably. You're not going to pay for the graphics card, but you'll make a little side money. What did some others? Digibyte. Digibyte is a mineable cryptocurrency. You can mine Digibyte with your graphics card. And Monero. You can mine Monero. Let's see here. This is the Monero homepage. So there are various ways to mine these cryptocurrencies. And you'll make a little extra money on the side. You're not going to get rich, but I would probably not, and you can mine Ethereum too, but I probably would not get into mining Bitcoin unless you had money to burn and you could afford to like throw out the capital ahead. So yeah, if I had $5,000 that I didn't need right away, and I would go out and buy a couple of miners and let them mine for a year or two, and then I would have Bitcoin instead of that $5,000, which to me is a better store of value, right? That $5,000, that if I put that in the bank and then 5-10 years later went to withdraw it, it'd be worth less because of inflation. And you know, the banks don't pay very good interest anymore. So a dollar is not a very good store of value. So if I had the extra money, I could afford it, then yeah, I might go out and buy some crypto mining hardware and replace my money with Bitcoin eventually. But it's not a flip and forget thing, right? You got to set it up, you got to program it, configure it, you got to monitor it, make sure it's still mining, and if it gets disconnected, reconnect it. So it's a job, right? It's not just easy money. Staking, yeah. I concluded, I told you guys I mined for about a year and a half. But I concluded after all that time and trouble that it's easier just to buy cryptocurrency with your money than it is to try to mine it, right? Because mining requires an investment anyway. And then when you, in the long run, when you look at your ORI, your ROI, your return on investment, you'd have been better off had you spent the money you used for the miner to just buy the Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or whatever you were into from the get-go, right? That's what I find, the conclusion that I came to. And you don't have to, drop 5 or 10 grand into crypto, just whatever you can afford at the end of the month. If you got 50, extra 100, whatever you can afford, just, throw it in to a little crypto here and there. And just, and then just don't sell. I don't sell. I never sell. I've sold before, but especially this year, there's no, I mean, you can't really sell because the market is so down. But you can buy, right? I've been buying because every time I think that it can't get any lower, all of a sudden some new thing happens and it's even cheaper. So I look at it as a sale. Okay, wow, some heavy text here. I better start reading. Yes, Ryan, I think you asked this in the comments. I noticed this. How to set up XLM Inflation for the wallet account viewer using the Ledger Nano S. XLM, that's Stellar, right? Right, that's not, yeah. You know what, it's funny, I like Stellar, I use Stellar, I have Stellar on my Ledger Nano S, but I don't know exactly what you mean by the inflation. Now I'm a member of, let me got to get into this again. I'm on a crypto or a Stellar-based exchange that pays me some kind of interest Let's check that guy out, right? Ah. Okay. And then maybe we'll get into... All right, let's get out of Tron. Let's go back over to Stellar. And let's go over to... whoops. Let's go to Crypto Exchange, Stellarport. And then I'm going to log... let's see, I can log into Stellarport with my Ledger hardware wallet. I've already entered the Stellar app. And then I'm going to log in. And they have this like lotto thing. And I can, let's see, history. Let's see. Actually, you can see it better in the Stellar wallet. It's easier for me to read. So if I go to the Stellar wallet, just the regular old Stellar wallet, it'll show me in my transaction history that I'm receiving little, right here, like I got this little bit of Stellar from that exchange. Just the Stellar X will pay you back your transaction fees, and then I guess they pay you little pieces. Here's another one down here, I guess. Yeah. I'm revealing all my personal information here. I don't know if that's the... it's an honor to be here. Do you have any possible idea how cryptocurrencies can scale in order to make blockchain technology practical for basic transactions? That's a very good question. I've been dealing with Bitcoin for a while, and when it started to rise in price. I had mined it in 2013 and 14 and had spent it after I had mined 2 Bitcoins. I spent like a Bitcoin and a half on a hard drive. And I have no regrets. At the time, Bitcoin was only worth around a couple $100. So I bought my hard drive from Newegg using the Bitcoin. They accepted Bitcoin at that time. And then that half of Bitcoin just kind of sat around for a while. And then in late 2016, Bitcoin started getting valuable. And that, like, it was less than 50, I think, what I had when I bought my hard drive. But then it became like a few $100s. I don't remember exactly, like $300 or $400 that I had in Bitcoin. And so I started playing around with it on the deep web, you know, using Bitcoin to buy this or that, and VPNs and doing all this stuff. And back then, Bitcoin did what it said it would do, right? It was fast. The transaction fees were negligible compared to merchant charges on credit cards. And so I was like, well, this is awesome. You know, Bitcoin is the greatest thing ever. It was fun. You know, the transactions were so fast, and there was a thing that the promise of micropayments, the fact that, okay, I can't afford to give you $1, but I sure as heck can afford to give you like a Satoshi. And so you could set up a website where people could donate micro amounts of Bitcoin to you that would add up over time. You know, I mean, who can spend an eighth of a penny? You know, even the US dollar can only break down into pennies, whereas Bitcoin, it was like you could spend just fractional amounts. But as Irdissa is mentioning, in late 2017, the system broke down. Bitcoin started to fall and get crushed under its own weight. Transaction times went from minutes to hours to days to weeks, and the transaction fees went from a few cents to a few dollars to $30 to $40 to $50 sometimes. So basically, it wasn't scaling properly, right? There are things in the works to scale Bitcoin. So if you're interested, maybe bitcoin.org would be the place to sort of check in to the new things that they're doing with Bitcoin. I'm not sure if you can find it here. The development where they're talking about things that they're doing now to scale Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, and those sorts of things. But realistically, you may you put your hope in Bitcoin, but there may be other paths to this same end. Like, for example, Litecoin. Litecoin is a spin-off of Bitcoin, or a fork of Bitcoin. It's been around a while, and it's much faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. That's its claim to fame. It may not be perfect yet, but it's got a lot of promise. So we got Litecoin. And then, of course, we also have Cardano, which is an up-and-coming cryptocurrency that is using scientific methods to figure out these scaling issues, right? They want to be the third generation of crypto. So as Bitcoin being first generation, Ethereum being second. Ethereum is more than just a currency. It's an ecosystem for decentralized apps and smart contracts. But even Ethereum is not scaling well either. It got overloaded in late 2017. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have very smart people that are working on these issues, and the hope is that they will overcome them, and they'll be able to compete with our current payment systems, right? The credit card companies are processing thousands and thousands of transactions per second, and currently Bitcoin and Litecoin don't come close to that, but we're hoping that they will. Another one is Stellar. We talked a little bit about Stellar. Stellar is also a blockchain-based payment ecosystem for sending value, transferring dollars to euros, or sending from one country to another, and it's trying to replace the SWIFT banking system. If you've ever tried to send money to someone in a different country, it can take days. Stellar wants to make that minutes. And then there's our old friend Ripple. Ripple is also trying to replace the SWIFT banking system. Ripple is not a pure cryptocurrency in the sense that it's not decentralized. It's not open source. It's owned by a company. They use blockchain technology, but they're trying to solve the same issue we're talking about here, scaling. So I don't know exactly what they'll need to do, but programming, I would imagine, is the answer. Whether it's a modification of Bitcoin, or whether it's some new other cryptocurrency that seems to solve the issues that Bitcoin can't. That's the promise, right? There's more than just Bitcoin out there. Tape my nursing lectures, typed my notes, and sold them to the nursing student. Okay, let's go here. I'm wondering if you can make a video on how to set up Bittrex accounts enabled for fiat. Trading, you can trade US dollars and cryptocurrency. I don't know that I ever did a video on setting up Bittrex. I might have. I don't know. If I did, it's been a while, and they've only recently allowed you to fiat. Basically, to set up a Bittrex account is pretty straightforward. You can set up a Bittrex account just by signing up, just like you would, Coinbase or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. You're going to give them your email and a password and set up an account. Now, if you want to deal in fiat, so because if I have a Bittrex account, and I'm not giving them any of my personal information, as long as I have an account going, I can transfer crypto in there. So I have to buy my crypto somewhere else and fund Bittrex with the crypto. And but the reason I do that is because Bittrex has a much larger selection of cryptocurrencies to choose from. So Coinbase only has 4 or 5. So Coinbase will take my debit card. I can buy on Coinbase and fund Bittrex. If you want to fund Bittrex with your fiat or US dollar, there's a way to do that. Let me see where. I don't want to log out. Oh, settings. You have to do the identity verification step, which means that you're going to need to, like, hold up your ID to the camera, or scan it, or take a selfie. You're going to have to go through this whole spiel. And once you've done that, then you can request to get banking authorization, right? I don't see it here. I think you have to go through the identity verification first, and then it will allow you to apply for the banking. Bittrex dollar. But I should do a video. You're right. It's a little difficult because you don't want dollar trading. Yeah, I think I probably. Oh, okay, so here's the Bittrex article. It's going to give you the steps that you have to take. First of all, you have to be in the right state, right? They're not going to just let, for whatever reason, they're not authorized legally to let all the states participate. You have to be in certain states. Here's the list, right? There's quite a few of them now, not the entire U.S. yet. And then you basically you're going to go to your bank, and you're going to give them, there's the ID, and then you're going to have to, here's the trading request, right? And then you go through that, and you have to tell them your email. Oops, that was it. Sorry. It's kind of a support request, right? As you can see, they've already added it right there, right? You give them your email, you give them your bank account, how you want to do it, and verify personal, Bittrex. You basically just go through, and it's not as bad as it seems. What they're going to tell you is, well, you need to have at least $1,000 if you want to, connect your bank account. The minimum deposit is $1,000, but you can go through this whole spiel and set it up. And if you're in the right state and you've got a decent, your bank account, is verified and all that good stuff, they'll send you within a day or two, or maybe a little longer, they'll send you a little email and say, hey, you've been accepted. And it's not that hard, right? I have like hardly any money in my checking account, and they were like, okay. So, and then once that happens and you're connected, then you can wire money into your Bittrex account. So yeah, I should probably do a video on that. I didn't hear that they were stopped taking deposits. They may have there may be times where they've halted trade. I think it was Bitfinex. Bitfinex halted deposits. Yeah, it was Bitfinex that suspended deposits for some reason. They were having some sort of problems. I don't know if it was regulatory or technical. Yeah, I get Bitfinex and Bittrex confused. Yeah, Bittrex. Yeah, as far as I know, you can still deposit in Bittrex. Ah, it's a clone of BTC, not a fork. Okay. So they didn't really change the code. Let's hope the Lightning Network will solve the issues. Boo Ripple. Boo Ripple. Ripple is not mined, right? You can't mine Ripple. Yeah. They issue it and they own a lot of it. I just logged into Bittrex. What I see is cannot deposit into coins they will no longer support, such as BitGold and Einsteinium. Okay. Well, I think with Bittrex, once you've got the bank account linked, you'll have a US dollar account, right? So when you go to wallets, here they have USD, right? So you've got the US dollar. See, my deposit is dim. I can't deposit. I can withdraw. So I don't know if I can withdraw. I don't think I've linked this to a bank account. Yeah. So you have to set up so once you get approved, then you'll be able to, your US dollar account will be enabled, and you can just deposit the money straight into that US dollar account. And once you've done that, you can use that US dollar account to buy crypto. So here's the US dollar markets, right? Is US to Bitcoin, Ripple, Tether, ETH, Tron, Litecoin, Cardano. They're not all there, but I mean, oh, there's more, right? Or are there? I guess that's it. But I mean, you could just come in here and use your dollars to buy Bitcoin, and then you can use Bitcoin to buy other stuff, right? That's the idea. You should be able to. What is my work study background? I've been working on people's computers for like close to 30 years, just as a side business. And then I have a degree in computer science, and I worked as a software engineer for a couple of years, coding in C++. I didn't work there long enough to be proficient. Coding, I mean, anyone can code in college, but coding at a company in the real world is a lot different. It takes you like a couple of years to get your legs going before you're proficient. And unfortunately, I got laid off before I was... And so because I had such a short-term experience, it was hard to find another job as a programmer. So I just went out on my own, and I've done other things. But in my spare time, I've taken some classes in cryptography, and I bought my own Bitcoin miner in 2013 on eBay, and I mined Bitcoin for about a year and a half. And so I knew about what wallets were and how to transfer funds back and forth. And then later on, I learned how to do wallets and learned about new cryptocurrencies. And I learn as I go. And every time I find some new thing that I figured out, my background knowledge helps me pick it up quicker. But I always said to myself, why isn't there, if I'm looking for an answer, why isn't there one place I can go where someone can just tell me from beginning to end how to do this? Like, I just want to know, how do I set up a Monero wallet? Why is it that I have to scour the web and get little bits and pieces here and there? I wish there was just one website, person, video, whatever, that could just tell me from beginning to end, step by step, and give me an example so I can see it happen in front of my own eyes. And as I became more proficient, I said, well, why don't you do that? Why don't I'll be the one that gives other people that have come after me that single step-by-step how-to from beginning to end in plain English with examples, right? So one of my things is I always want to demonstrate on screen exactly what I'm doing. So if I'm gonna show you how to buy some Cardano, I got to use my own money I got to show you how it happens, where that I hit that buy button, that you see the money come in to the crypto, and then when I transfer from one place to another, you see the money go out, and then you see the money go into the wallet or wherever. I want you to see it happening. That's my, I try to remain true to that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos where people explain, okay, here's how you do X, Y, Z. And then halfway through the video, they'll say something like, well, I'm not going to actually do it, but if you were doing it, you would click this button. And I say, well, come on, dude. If you're going to show me how to do it, show me how to do it. So anyway, that's where I come from. Oh, and I'll also mention this whole thing, we're talking about cryptocurrency exchanges, and I think there was, what was Elizabeth Warren, okay, who I have mad respect for, right? But she lays into crypto, and she goes, crypto is easy to steal, and a lot of small investors are being scammed through initial coin offerings. Well, it's not really easy to steal. The cryptocurrency exchanges are vulnerable, but if you know what you're doing and you do your research and you store your crypto in your own wallet, then it's not easy to steal. This whole idea that crypto is easy to steal is because all the mainstream news articles, every time there's a hack on an exchange, they, blast the headlines, ooh, cryptocurrency heist, from this exchange or that exchange. Well, what they really should be saying is, this exchange sucks. Their security sucks. Their servers suck. It's not the Bitcoin that's the weak link here. It's that server. Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's a misconception, I think, in the mainstream is that people are that people are getting their Bitcoin heisted out of their pockets, by the hackers that are hiding in their computers and stuff. You have a computer, and you put antivirus on there, you put anti-malware on there, and you don't click stupid links that promise you the world or tell you that they're from Microsoft and your computer's got issues. You're smart, right? Anyway, come on, folks, smash the like button. Okay, yeah, Cardano is a great currency. I like Cardano. Stellar. Yeah, I've always mentioned on this that if you're looking for the winners, stick with the top 10 or 20. So, and that's not that doesn't mean that all of these top 10s are going to be here in 5 years, right? But it does mean that you got a much better chance if you're looking at a crypto that you like in the top 20, as opposed to one that's like some fly-by-night, Telegram scam thing. That's the sort of thing where people are going to get scammed. But if you can deal with the volatility of the market and the bear markets and all of the mainstream opposition to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and just go with your heart, hang on for dear life. This is a technology that'll change the world. And another thing I mentioned is, if you say, you know what, I'm going to buy 1,000 shares of Cardano, and then I'm going to be rich someday. And when Cardano goes up, I'm going to sell it for cash, and I'm going to go buy an island, okay? That you may not have to do that. You might buy 1,000 shares of Cardano today, and then 5 or 10 years from now, your grocery store accepts Cardano. You can buy a cart full of groceries with some of your Cardano. You can go buy a new car with your Cardano. You can buy an island with your Cardano. So It don't always think in terms of, hey, I'm going to sell this down the road and be rich. Think about it as, hey, this is the value. This is what people are going to be exchanging in the future. When you exchange value, this is going to be the new latest thing. So if I get some now and hold on to it, then I'll be ready down the road when the technology gets adopted universally. As you can see here, and another thing I'll point out is that we had a market dip a few days back, and the market has recovered quite nicely. It's not at where it was in December of last year, but these market bashers and these market dips are losing strength as 2018 wears on. And you'll see that when the markets take a hit, they don't drop as far and fast as they did before, and you'll see that they bounce back relatively quicker than they did. So don't take my advice, I could be wrong, but I'm just looking at the numbers right now. And from what I see, the cryptos are up again after, a dip earlier this week. They're back up to where they were before that little dip, except for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin was like around 65, 66, and now it's down to around the 6,300. But more resilient. Yeah. Well, Elizabeth Warren is very smart, and she knows a lot about finance. And she also knows how screwed up our financial system is with corporations and, banking and, and all that stuff. I was really impressed with her when she was in a documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about the financial collapse and how corrupt the system is. So, she's not a dummy. I don't know why she's bashing cryptocurrencies, though. She seemed to me to be the type that wouldn't. But, I don't know. We each have our own opinions. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Of you type dev tools. There are crazy things on Google Chrome. Do I like EOS? You know what? I bought some EOS, but it's so complicated trying to set up a wallet that I just finally gave up. I just moved on to other things. I've got a little bit in my Bittrex account, but I don't know that I'll ever move it to my own wallet. I'll probably just sell it down the road if it ever, becomes trade it for some other asset. That was weird. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. I do own some Cardano. I own a little bit of just about all the top 10. I've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, some EOS, some Stellar, not much Litecoin, no Tether. I have some Cardano, I have some Monero, I have some Tron. I don't have any IOTA. I had some last year, but I don't. No Dash. Yeah, so I have a little bit of all of the top 10. And then I have a couple of others. You remember, oops, device was disconnected. Now let's go back up. I have some Vertcoin, which I've been mining with my graphics card. I've got some Digibyte, which is Digibyte has been around for a long time. So, I try to, I don't know if you want to call it diversify, but I try to buy what looks interesting. And Litecoin, not much. I used to have 5 Litecoin, I think. I gave one to my daughter. My daughter still has one whole Litecoin. Would you buy Bitcoin now, or do you guys think we may dip a little lower? I know price averaging is best, but I'm not really a financial advisor, and personally, I would prefer to buy one of the smaller cap cryptos because you would get a bigger multiplier if it went up in value, right? Because Bitcoin is $6,000, you need 6 grand just for one Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin goes up to 12,000, then you've doubled your money. But if you buy, you can afford to buy 500 Stellar, and if Stellar goes up to $1, you've like quadrupled, quintupled your money. So that's why I tend to try to stick with some of the lower cap. But if you, as far as just investing in Bitcoin, there's never a perfect time to get into any asset. You could buy a bunch one day and see it drop the next. So it's hard to know if now is a good time or not. Some say that it's going to get much higher this year. Other people are more conservative. Some people say it will go to zero. So it's hard to know. Only spend money you can afford to lose on any cryptocurrency. You know what? He asked me, Chippy asked me about Digibyte versus Litecoin. And although Digibyte is worth less, I have to say Digibyte. I mean, the thing I like about Digibyte is it's like a down home cryptocurrency, and it's got a lot of like really devoted followers. I did some videos on how to mine Digibyte, and I got a lot of comments from people that just love Digibyte. It's been around a while, right? That's pretty interesting. So yeah, I just think it's kind of cool. Litecoin's okay. It just seems kind of like not that exciting. Digibyte and Vertcoin are my two low cap coins that I think are pretty cool. Okay, so the Senate Banking Committee is holding hearings on crypto on the 11th. Isn't that yesterday? Well, I think it was yesterday that this guy, Roubini, made his comments in front of the, what was it? U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Community Affairs at a hearing. So, I don't know this guy that well, and, I don't hate him or anything, but it's every time I hear his name, they always mention that he predicted the 2008 financial crisis. And, my question is, what have you done lately? It's like, okay, so you predicted the 2008 financial crisis. That was like 10 years ago, all right? So, what have you got to offer me now? If you're just going to, like, put this little, placard under you every time you go on a talk show, I predicted the 2008 financial crisis. There were other people too that saw it coming, so I don't think he's got a monopoly on that. Let's see. With BAT in less than a month, with its physical delivery, this could be a very good thing for price action. I would hope so. I like price action, but I also like adoption overall. In the long run, this BACT looks very interesting. And then there was some talk when they first announced it that Starbucks would be accepting Bitcoin, and everybody got really excited. And then Starbucks came out and said, no, we're not going to accept Bitcoin. But I guess they're working with, I don't know, I thought it was Microsoft and Starbucks were involved in this BAKKT thing. Not sure. But that was what everyone was talking about when they announced this partnership. Yeah, and when that actually happens, that's going to be a big thing. Do I think Bitcoin will drop in price as it becomes less common for people to buy and compare to the other cryptos to Bitcoin? Well, I mean that measurement is what they call the Bitcoin. There's a word for it. Bitcoin percentage, I think they call it. Whoops. Bitcoin. Whoops. Market percentage. Bitcoin market percentage. Oh, okay. The market share, right? So that question about will people pay, you know, if we look at the market share of Bitcoin, it was recently a bit higher, I think. I think that it reached like a high for the year a few weeks ago. So I don't think it's dead yet. I think people kind of go back and forth. So, you know, essentially, if Bitcoin has a higher percentage, that sort of, you know, by extension, that means that people are buying more Bitcoin, right? And maybe moving out of the lower cap crypto market. And then when Bitcoin's market percentage goes down, then by extension, that means that people are maybe selling their Bitcoin and moving those assets into the broader cryptocurrency market. So if you're interested in that phenomenon, then this is really the thing to watch, is that market cap percentage. So if we see that it starts falling, you know, with a lot of direction, then that may mean that people are giving up on Bitcoin and putting their money and their hope in the broader cryptocurrency market. I don't see that happening right at the moment, though. I think it sort of seesaws, but it's not on a steady decline. It hasn't been declining in 2018. It's been going, the Bitcoin market share has been going up and down. So I don't think that everyone's abandoning Bitcoin just yet. Bitcoin, people tend to look at it as a store of value, kind of like crypto gold, even though it may not be that practical. And that some of the other cryptocurrencies are working on that, those practical considerations, right? Speed and you know, network fees and all that other stuff. But even though Bitcoin is not that as useful maybe as some other cryptos, it still tends to be looked at as a store of value because of the way that it's produced, right? It's mined. It's like gold, you know, like if you want to find gold, you know, you're not going to just walk around and find gold on the ground. You know, you have to have the tools to find gold. You probably have to have a mining company and equipment and people that work there and are actually going to locate the gold and dig for the gold and extract the gold and clean it and get it to market. I mean, it's a whole process. You need tools. So Bitcoin is the same. You know, if you want to find Bitcoin, you need miners, you need processing power, you need, you know, number crunchers that are going to crunch through all these hash algorithms looking for that block, that nonce or whatever they call it, that's going to, you know, reward them with that block of, you know, when they find that block, they're going to get all those transaction fees and they're going to be awarded a certain amount of Bitcoin. I forget what it is right now. But that's similar, right? You got to have the tools, you got to be invested in the tools. So Bitcoin tends to be looked at as a store of value because of that, because it requires time and energy. And all these arguments that say that Bitcoin is destroying the environment because it uses so much computing power, that's total bunk. If you compare the amount of energy and resources used in mining Bitcoin to, say, the energy and resources used to mine gold, there's no comparison. Gold is not green at all. It, you know, it destroys the environment much more than cryptocurrency mining does. All of the equipment and the engines that are polluting and the buildings that are required and the trucks required to move gold around, it is a huge blight on, the ecosystem of the earth. And if we're talking about that, think about how much energy is required for our current monetary system, the dollar system, right? You got to chop down trees. You got to, create the dollars. You've got to print the dollars. You got to distribute the dollars. You got to guard the dollars. You got to have banks and trucks, and all of these are using power, and the carbon footprint of our current monetary system is almost inconceivable. And to say that Bitcoin mining is destroying our environment, that it's so wasteful, it's just, it doesn't even compare to what we're currently doing. Compared to the dollar monetary system, Bitcoin is green as hell. Oh my God. Well, yeah, you can lose your Bitcoin. You have to be rigorous, and I think people of this generation are pretty careless when it comes to their assets and their passwords. If I forget my Facebook password, I just call tech support. Right? If I forget my bank, and if I lose my ATM card, I just go to my bank and show them my ID, and they'll give me a new one. But Bitcoin doesn't work like that, right? You have to remember your password. You have to, put your seed in a safe place. You got to play grown up here. It's no longer, just bumbling through life. It requires, concentration, and devotion. Yeah, you can lose Bitcoin. I've lost Bitcoin, but that just makes the what's left over more valuable, right? But I don't think it's all going to get lost. Not at this point. Balance using a BTC private key. It'd be better to, if you're looking to check your balance, you would be better off using the public key, because you don't want to be running around pasting your private key into places. Now you might, if you have a Bitcoin private key, you might want to just install the Bitcoin Core wallet and do, a key, sweep key in, right? You want to sweep that private key into the wallet, and that way you should be able to see your balance, I'm assuming. But I wouldn't want to run around pasting my private key into the Blockchain Explorer. Yeah, we definitely need to scale. And, if, there's so much lost Bitcoin, and with all of the Bitcoin that's ever going to be mined gets mined, and, Bitcoin, as I was mentioning earlier, it can be divided up into, very small amounts. So we probably won't be talking about Bitcoin anymore, a single Bitcoin. We'd be talking more about, how many Satoshis does that cost? How about, a 10,000th of a Bitcoin or something? We won't even, they'll be so small amounts, will have so much value that there'll be enough to go around, right? Or, if Bitcoin is so full and so expensive that no one can afford to use it, it'll just be a store of value, and the day-to-day stuff will be handled by the other cryptocurrencies, right? Like Litecoin or Cardano or whatever. But, people that have and hold Bitcoin will be like people that have and hold gold, pretty much the same concept. But it might not be useful if it gets so expensive. But like I said, even if it's, $1 million per Bitcoin, a Satoshi would still be worth, an amount that you and I could spend at the grocery store, right? Don't get left in the dust. Thanks, Gregory. I appreciate it. Didn't do too much. Just babbling today. I didn't do too much moving of crypto around. It's 7:30. I do have a couple of videos in the can, so keep your eyes out if you subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting them pretty soon. I did one on how to use MetaMask, but you guys probably already know how to use MetaMask since you're... Oh. All right. Thanks, everybody, and I'll get those videos posted. I'm so glad that you all came. I really appreciate it. Please join me again for the live Q&A in LA every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come with your questions. I'll try to get them answered, and hope to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon.